The same situation is showing up again. The same kind of person, the same kind of fear, the same pressure you have always felt in your body in such circumstances, and the temptation to react the way that you always have. And this is where most people miss the lesson. They think, why is this happening again? But the real question is not why is it happening again? The real question is, are you going to respond the same way again? Because repeated patterns do not break by accident. They break when you become conscious inside the moment where you used to react automatically. Life will keep bringing you to the same doorway until you learn how to unlock it so you can walk through it. The same arguments, the same rejections, the same uncertainty or the urge to chase, to explain or to shut down. The same urge to go back to what you always do. But this is the point of change. The pattern does not break when the circumstances change. The pattern breaks when the same circumstances meet a different version of you. And this time, the old version of you does not get to take over. Hello everyone. Welcome back to Radiant Energy. On this channel, I draw cards to read the energy moving through the collective. So if you found yourself here, there is a message in this reading that you are ready to hear because your inner guidance has brought you here today to receive it. So when I drew the cards today, the message I heard very clearly is about breaking repeated patterns. Not by waiting for someone else to behave in a different way or for life to become easier. Not waiting for the fear to disappear magically so that you can make a different choice. You break the pattern by recognizing where it is repeating and while it is happening. By refusing to feed it the same old reactions, because the universe can repeat the lesson. It can repeat the trigger by repeating the circumstances. But it will only change when you stop repeating the same patterns you did in terms of how you react through the old version of yourself. Today's 3 cards that showed me that this is the reading that was needed by the collective tells me that change, which is our first card, is the first step of breaking a pattern. Change will begin from the inside before the outside world gives you proof. That is what you need to understand today, because most people wait for the opposite side to change before they will change their own response. They wait for the situation to feel safe before they will act with strength, or they wait for fear to disappear before they show courage. And that doesn't happen, which is why most people remain inside the cycle. The pattern survives because your reactions remain the same. You get triggered, so you react. You feel ignored, and you over-explain. When you're uncertain, you panic. Or if you are pressurized, you may abandon your own truth. These were your old cycle. But the change card is asking you that this old reaction has to be interrupted and asking if you're ready to do this. So see the pattern before it takes over. Notice the urge before you obey it. Recognize the emotional pull before you hand your power back to it. That is real change. Not saying that I have changed or believing you have changed when in reality you keep proving that the old version of you still exists when you behave in the same way. So this card is not something that is asking you gently to accept change. It is telling you that change will only happen if you allow it to rise from within you. Because the first step is not changing everything around you. The first step is changing your response. The second card is New Beginnings. This card showed what opens after you have a different response. A new beginning does not start while you're still feeding the old cycles. You cannot keep reacting from the old wound and expect a completely new path to open up. You cannot keep scratching on that wound and saying it is healing. You cannot keep accepting less and call it patience. The new beginning starts when the old reactions end. A new beginning can begin with one decision from you. You do not send the message that you've always sent. You do not reopen the conversation with the same emotions that you have always done. Or do not beg for someone to give you clarity or over-explain your own position to them. You do not return because the familiar environment of the known is comfortable, but you venture out into the unknown, even if it feels uncomfortable. So do not let temporary emotion make a permanent decision for you. It may have been your permanent emotion in the past, but now, with this awareness, it is a temporary emotion. And this is how you will open new doors, not through fantasy, but through response and discipline. By doing something different, even if the situation around you still looks the same. This card is asking you to move first and choose before you expect the same patterns to stop repeating themselves. And that's where the path will change, because the universe will respond to who you are being, not only what you think you want to be. So if you want to have a new beginning, stop giving away your energy to the old pattern. The third card, Rebirth. I felt this was such a strong ending for the reading because it showed deeper transformation, where rebirth is not just a fresh start. It means that your old identity no longer controls you. The version of you who may have chased for clarity or accepted some sort of emotional crumbs and justified them cannot lead anymore. The version of you who overgave to prove that you're worthy is not welcome here anymore. And the version of you who kept going back to familiar pain cannot do that anymore. You cannot silence your own truth to avoid discomfort. That version may have helped you survive in the past, but it is not going to help you build the life you are stepping into now. Rebirth means you stop letting the wounds that you've had in the past make the decision when you get this fresh wound again. You stop confusing repetition with destiny. Just because something comes back does not mean it belongs in your life. Many times these things return to test whether you have actually changed and finally learned to choose differently. And this is where the cycle breaks. Not when everything around you is perfect, or when everyone around you is behaving ideally, or when the path is easy. The cycle breaks when even things around you are uncomfortable, people are behaving in the same way that they have always behaved. And the path in front of you looks as difficult as it always has. But when these triggers appear, you no longer become the person who's always existed in this pattern. You become the better version of yourself that you have been reaching for. That is the rebirth. The same test returns, but the old you does not return with it. So what I want you to do is now bring one repeated pattern that you may have been experiencing to mind. Just one. Could be a relationship pattern, something in a way that people communicate with you. Maybe it's a financial pattern or something in your career that is repeating again, showing different existence of fear, avoidance, chasing. See that clearly. And as you notice that, ask yourself, when this pattern has appeared or these circumstances have presented themselves to me in the past, what is my usual reaction? Do I get angry? Do I panic? Do I shut down? Do I say yes when I actually mean no? Do I ignore what is happening around me? Or do I try to prove my worth? Do I go back to the known reactions because doing something differently is unknown and it feels uncomfortable? That reaction that you've always had is standing in front of you in the doorway as you're facing these old circumstances repeating in new ways. And that is the exact place where the circumstances are testing you and seeing whether your energy has actually changed. So see the circumstance for what it is. It might be the same trigger, it might be the same kind of pressure or emotional pull. And it seems so inviting in this moment to become the old version of yourself. But this time, you no longer react from the old version of yourself. This time, intentionally, take a pause. Take a breath in and release it. Acknowledge by saying the following: I have been here before, but I am not who I was before. So now see yourself responding differently. Maybe you do not chase. Maybe you no longer get angry. Maybe you do not betray yourself for some form of temporary comfort. You do not hand your power back to the pattern that's standing in front of you in the doorway. You take your power back from it and you choose a new response. If you spoke a lot in the past, maybe this time you choose to remain silent. You chased something. This time you choose to walk away. It's the same circumstances, but your reaction is different. Maybe you were too quick or hasty in the past, or when you wanted to respond or reply. So this time you will choose to wait before replying, or ask one clear question instead of speak so much and it means nothing. By doing this, you will choose discipline over impulse. You will choose self-respect. So let the new response become clear in your mind. The circumstance is the same. The way you're reacting to it is no longer the same. This is the point of power. And this is where you break the pattern. Now repeat after me. You can do this silently or out loud. I recognize the pattern before it pulls me in. I pause before I repeat behaviors that belong to the old version of me. I do not feed the old cycle with my old reaction. I choose differently, even when the situation still looks the same. My new response breaks the pattern and creates a new beginning. The circumstances lose power when I stop playing my old role. I am allowed to outgrow the version of me that survived by repeating. I have become someone who no longer belongs in this cycle. Take one more breath and let this land. The circumstances may be familiar, but you're not here to repeat the past. You're here to respond from the person you have become. Take this video as confirmation. The pattern is not stronger than your awareness. The cycle is not stronger than your choice. And the old version of you does not get to answer every time life knocks in the same way. So commit to yourself that this week you will pause and give that space before you react. That is where your power is. That is where change begins and new beginnings open. That is where rebirth takes place. If this message resonated with you, write in the comments. And if you feel called to like this video, subscribe to the Rradiant Energy channel or share it with someone who is ready to stop repeating the same cycle. Thank you for being here with me. May you recognize the pattern. May you pause before repeating old behaviors. And may this be the moment where the old cycle finally loses its hold on you. Until next time, stay blessed.